So the book conveys both the horror and the hope of change within a community. How do you think that it reflects modern life?
I think we carry hope and horror with us everywhere we go, in communities, in our own personal lives. There's always good stuff and there's always a dark side. And that idea that in any kind of community we see small hopeful green shoots of change, but it often gets overweighed by what's happening on a national and international political stage. So we look at big issues like Trump and what's going to happen as a result of Brexit, and we see horror, and that horror often balances out what's hopeful in the world. And I'm really mindful of the idea that we need both. We need both hope and we need critical thinking about what's happening in our world. And there's a famous quote by a great writer called Maria Popova who says, you know, without critical thinking, we're just naive, but without hope, we're just cynical. So somewhere in between that idea of hope and horror is a space where we don't know what might happen and we could influence what might happen, and that uncertainty is actually a really force for good in my view, and that's what I try to convey in the book. So my characters are dealing with hope and horror, and they're trying to find their way, navigate their way to a better place, and ultimately that was my challenge as a writer, and I hope when readers read the book that they'll get a sense of, you know, that for themselves. Where do they find the balance between hope and horror, and what does hope mean to them, and how could they change things in their own communities?